Welcome to the flight deck. So, as most of you know, what we have here is the E-Flite Carbon Z T28 version 2. I'm going to talk about a couple of mods today and a couple of complaints. First off, let me say that this thing is tremendous in the air. It's a great flyer, and E-Flite has really, in that aspect of what we're about to talk about, has done a tremendous job. In other aspects, not so much. So, two complaints with the airplane. The first one is what everybody's complaining about, and that is the landing gear. And when I say landing gear, I mean nose wheel landing gear. So I had just a couple of flights on mine, maybe 3 flights on mine, and had a terrible crosswind landing, and I bent that front nose gear, and that was it. I'd had enough. So I started looking around for things to do. Saw some videos on YouTube, and this is the route that I chose to go, and I'm gonna tell you how I did it. So as you can see, right now I have a strut on there, a fully functioning strut, and that is the nose wheel strut off of the Freewing 80mm A10. And that is the stock, or if you can find it in the spare part list of the A10. Now they also sell an upgrade, or in the upgraded section, upgraded parts, they sell a trailing link, which to be honest with you, I wish I would have saw that first. I would have ordered that, and I still may switch to the trailing link, but I want to fly it with this one first, just to see how it handles and takes and does, so before I make that decision. Okay, so now to the mod. So the stock nose gear that's in there it's all one piece. Okay, so it's a male that goes all the way through the trunnion and actually goes inside of the retract unit. Now inside that retract unit there is what they call an E-clip, and that's what keeps that rod from coming out of the trunnion and falling out. So in order to get the old gear out, you have to obviously pull the retract out, separate the retract, and then you'll be able to pull the whole trunnion and the stock nose gear out, remove that E-clip, and you'll be able to remove the old nose gear. So the mod, that's a 5, so the 80mm nose strut takes a 5mm rod. Okay, a buddy of mine I was fortunate enough to have a buddy of mine find a 90-degree rotating retract that had a 90-degree or a 5mm rod on there, and we cut that and we use that. So make sure you cut it long, obviously longer than what you need. So what I did was I cut that little groove at the very top to allow that E-clip to go on there, pushed it up through the trunnion, and reseated the E-clip that came off of the stock one. Then you have to make your 2 flat spots. One has to be for the steering arm, the stock steering arm, and the other one obviously for the strut itself. And then you cut it to size. Actually, I thought it was actually going to be a little shorter because I'm running the upgraded tires, the so-called softer tires from Horizon. And I guess they are a little softer, but you can't use the upgraded tire with the nose strut upgrade, with the 80mm A10 strut, because the axle will not accept it. Okay, so this tire, the one that comes with the retract, or the unit, is actually smaller than the stock tire. So I thought I was going to be able to drop the nose a little bit, but in all reality, I don't. If it dropped any, I can't notice it. But it is a direct fit, really. If you get the 5mm rod the right size, it's a direct fit. It'll fit right in there. So yeah, that's the finished product. And I now have a functioning strut on the nose gear. And hopefully that problem from E-Flite is solved. The second gripe with this was the wiring, all the connections you have to make. Now let's face it, this is a big plane. Most people are not going to be able to transport it with the wing on there. So that is a at the field thing that you're going to have to do. I did some research on that, and this comes from the RC Geek. The connectors I chose to go with are called Thunderbolt or T-bolt connectors. You will need a 4-servo connector, and you will need 2 of them. And they come in 2 lengths, 6-inch and 12-inch. I chose to go with the 12-inch, and probably went a little too long with it, because I'll discuss an issue that I had that came up with those 12-inch. And you got to think about it, it's really 24 inches because you got 2 sides. So it's really 24 inches. And that run was too long. And I'll explain the problem that I developed here in just a second. So let me get the camera real quick. We'll pause here for a sec. I'll get the camera, I'll come back, I'll show you the connectors. So these are the connectors. And so so instead of making 8 connections, I'm making 1, 2 connections. And you can see there that I have all the safety clips on there. You will need to put the safety clips on the connections coming from the wing, because you have to push it through that hole and pull it through, and sometimes and if you don't have those safety clips on there, the connections will come loose. So make sure you put safety connectors on every side coming from the wing side only. So you can see that hole there. I made that hole a little bigger to allow me to be able to push everything through there, because that is a nice little clump of wiring that has to go through there. And so I made that hole just a little bit bigger. And these are the T-bolt connectors, okay? All right, so I'm gonna put the camera back and we'll talk about the issue. So the issue I ran into with the 24-inch run was apparently the gear are sequenced, 1, 2, and 3. So the left main is the 3rd gear in the sequence when the gear either come down or go up. The issue I was having was when the gear would go back up, that left main would stay down, and I traced it out to be a voltage drop issue. It just wasn't having enough voltage, because sometimes the other 2 would go up, and then when the other 2 went up and retracted fully, then the left main would go up way later, okay? So I diagnosed the problem as a voltage drop issue. That run was just too long to get to that, to the left main. So what I ended up doing was I shortened both of the connections on the harnesses for the mains. So that way the mains matched. And I shortened them to like 2 inches. And that solved the problem with that. And I haven't seen any other people post about that issue, so maybe that was just an issue that I have. Maybe no one else has had that issue. Maybe it was just a freak thing, but I did have that issue. But everything is working good now when I shorten those two leads on the harnesses, okay? Okay, so those are 2 gripes. Like I said, she's an outstanding flying airplane, and I love it. It's I fly it on a 7000 and Gen 2 Spectrum 7000, and it's perfect. 6-7 minute flights, and it's awesome. You notice, some of you may notice a 3-bladed prop, and we'll thank Brian Phillips for that. He's the one that did all the legwork as far as putting different 3 blades on there and running a voltage, a watt meter on them to see what kind of watts they were producing. And that's a Master Air Screw 15.7. That one was the closest match to the 2-blade that was on there as far as how much watts and amperage it pulled, and and that's the reason that's the reason I chose to go with that 15.7. It's a 10 millimeter hole. You will have to drill that out to get it to go on the hub, and 10 millimeter. Okay, and so yeah, I hope everything goes well. Really impressed with the strut. Like I said, I may switch to the trailing link. Who knows? Yeah, happy with it so far. The mod wasn't that hard to do. A little tedious with that E-clip, but not really that hard to do. Some of you may have noticed the graphics here that have my name on the canopy. There's a place, I'm in Florida, obviously, Jack's RC. There's a place in Lake City called lettering.com, and I order all my lettering that I use on my planes from those guys. They're really, really good. You go to their website, you can design whatever you want, what color you want, what style you want, what font you want, and how tall you want them, how long you want it. You can do all that right from the website, and then place the order, and they'll cut it. It comes with a nice, easy on applicator. You put it on there and then peel it off, and yeah, they do great work. So I highly recommend them. That's lettering.com, and they're in Lake City, Florida. All right, guys, that's going to conclude the video for today from a windy Jack's RC. You can tell I'm on vacation because every vacation I take, the weather just turns crappy. I'm actually surprised there's not a hurricane coming or something, but that's just the way it goes. But yeah, I'll get some more flight videos up soon. I have one up already on the stock gear. I'll get some more up with the no strut. Let everybody know how that goes. I think it's going to be awesome. So we'll see about that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. From Jack's RC, this is Iceman, and we'll see you next time.